Hello, modular shed fans. So the modular shed now has its floor. See if I can get a little bit closer to that. 8 boards, all with their reading facing downwards now. Thank you for that little tip. So the floor's done, so now I turn my attention to the roof, and you can probably see that there is a single piece there which I've mitre cut to an angle of 15 degrees, and that's my first tentative steps towards putting a roof on this thing. Now obviously the roof has to have a slope. The question is which direction to slope the roof. The garden slopes up to the right, but it's not much of a slope. It's probably only about 5 degrees, as indicated by that 8-foot plank sitting on 8 inches of wood. So that's approximately a 1 in 12 slope, which I calculated was about 5 degrees. Now I could take a very simplistic approach to this and create a single slope pent roof that simply slopes all the way from the bottom on the left to the top on the right. And although that would be really straightforward, it wouldn't be much of a slope. It would only be 5 degrees. Now the minimum recommended slope for the roofing material I'm going to use, which is a bitumen impregnated corrugated sheet, is 5 degrees. So it's pushing in a little bit, and it's also a bit of a cop-out, because if I were building this thing on flat ground, I couldn't rely on the slope of the ground to give me a corresponding slope for the roof. So I've decided to go with 15 degrees, and that piece of wood there is cut to a mitre of 15 degrees. That's the slope I'm going to put on the first module. Now the module, you can see, is the first of 4 which will run along the hedge. So module number 1 on the left, and then 2, 3, 4. If I apexed the whole roof up as that beam might indicate I'm going to, I'm not, then the apex would get very high in the middle, and I don't want a particularly high apex. Neither do I want to apex up, down, because that'll create a valley in the middle, and valleys are trouble because that's the place that water's going to get in heavy rain. And then this section in the middle, which will be 4 units, so 2 at the back against the hedge and 2 nearer the camera, I'm going to put an apex roof on that, probably coming up from the hedge to an apex and then down again to the nearest point to the camera. But that's fun, isn't it? In terms of supporting the corrugated sheet, I want to keep this as simple as possible. So it's going to be these angled, this is decking timber, so an angled piece of decking timber cut on the mitre saw, and then battens, lots and lots of battens running across from that rear side to this front side, and then the corrugated sheet will sit on top of those battens, similar to the way these corrugated sheets are mounted onto battens which run across the main joists under this work zone roof. Because you have to fit the fixings at the top of each corrugation, not at the bottom, there was no way I could guarantee that these corrugations would line up with the joists. So the battens give me a continuous left-right here, which allows the fixing to go in. The joists simply support the battens. Now if you're thinking, Julian, you're just making life difficult for yourself, yes, I am. That's what I enjoy doing, setting challenges and then solving them. So yeah, in a way I am making life difficult for myself by having this, but that's the fun of it. What would be the fun in just simply running a single slope roof up the slope of the garden? That's too easy. That doesn't challenge anyone, and as I say, that is no use to anyone who likes this idea but intends to build it on flat ground. Now that sloping timber, you can see it's right at the top of the post on the right, but not right at the top of the post on the left, and it will need to be right at the top of the post on the left because that's the only way I'm going to get enough internal height, because there'll probably be battens slung under the underside of that timber such that the roof becomes a box, so it could theoretically be insulated. So if I raise up the left, I'm going to have to raise up the right. That means that the right hand side will need a post extension. So yes, I'm going to have to cut a piece of post. I've got some more of that 100mm square post, add it to the rear right post there so I can run that timber up to the extended post. So post extensions, yes, I'm afraid they're going to be a thing. So how do I extend this post? Well, it's going to be nail plates, of course. So I'll cut a small piece of post, add it to the top and nail plate it on the sides where I can get nail plates. I can't get a vertical nail plate on that face that we're looking at because that has a horizontal nail plate on it already. So you can call it a complicated roof if you like. I call it a flexible roof, a roof that can be different things in different situations, and certainly in keeping with the idea of a modular shed. But that's my thoughts for today. Cheerio.